Hello, and welcome to some of our final episodes of the Creating a Life That Nourishes Body and Soul interview series. I am so excited about our guest, not just today. This is a special one and the only one that we do this with, but today and tomorrow, because this is going to be a two-parter because there's just so much to talk about in relation to the blue zones. Maybe that's a familiar term, maybe it's not, but if it's not, by the end of these two interviews, it will be. Today, we have with us Alex Jones, who is the engagement and marketing lead for the Yuba-Sutter area Blue Zones project. So thank you so much, Alex, for being with us today. I'm so excited to share the information that you have with our listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's wonderful for you to be here. And we want to start with maybe telling us how you got involved with Blue Zones.
Sure. I would love to share my story of how I landed upon Blue Zones project. I've been with the project since the very beginning, and when it started in this community about 3 years ago. And it's actually kind of a funny story. I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. And during the pandemic, COVID-19 is when I landed this opportunity with Blue Zones Project. And funny enough, I actually had never heard of Blue Zones prior to working for Blue Zones. I didn't even know that this was something happening in our community. I was working for Yuba County Public Health in COVID response, and someone had recommended my name to the director
Hmm.
for our Blue Zones project. So he reached out to me and asked me if this was something that I would be interested in. And we had a cup of coffee, and absolutely, unbeknownst to me, I had already kind of been living a Blue Zones lifestyle without really having that term for it. And so, yeah, that's how I got started here.
Very cool. So for those who haven't heard about what blue zones are, what that even means, I'm going to take us back to the beginning. What is a blue zone and how did that even come about?
Yes. Okay. So wonderful question. And I'm always happy to share the Blue Zones story, if you will, with people who are not familiar with what Blue Zones are and where they are in the world. So, about 20 years ago, a gentleman named Dan Buettner, he worked for National Geographic. He was a National Geographic explorer, and he set out to find the places in the world where individuals were living the longest, healthiest, happiest lives. Him and his team identified 5 locations across the globe in vast different parts of the world, all the way from Okinawa, Japan to Loma Linda, California, about 300 miles away from where we are in Yuba-Sutter, where on average individuals were about 3 times more likely to live to be 100. And they
Three
live about,
times more likely. Wow.
yes, and they live about 12 years longer across the board than we do here in North America. And it was all thanks to very holistic, simple approaches to health.
So these zones, his research went and to try to identify commonalities, right?
Yep. Commonalities. What were these communities doing that were contributing to this increased longevity, this increased health? Hmm.
So this is what the results are. How are they getting those results? Basically was his question.
Yep. What is the common denominator here? And
Yeah.
they were actually able to identify 9 different elements. And we usually try to we call them the core four because within those 9 things, they really fall into 4 categories. First up is moving naturally. In the original Blue Zones, these communities did not think of exercise the way that we think of exercise here, owning fancy equipment like a Peloton or having a gym membership. These individuals just happened to live in environments where it set them up for moving naturally throughout the day. Think Icaria, Greece, Sardinia, Italy. These are communities with a lot of shepherds. We have men who are walking like 6 miles a day. In a lot of actually, in just about all of the blue zones, these are not car-centric communities the way that we are here. If you're going to work, if you're going to visit a friend, you're walking there. In Okinawa, Japan, gardening is huge across the board. individuals getting up and down all day, gardening. Also in Okinawa, Japan, they happen to sit at like kitchen tables on the ground. So you have individuals well into old age that are literally doing squats multiple times a day, getting up and down from the kitchen table. So really, their environments were just kind of set up to nudge them into physical activity. Usually, right around like every 20 minutes, they were doing something physical.
So
Mhm.
they're not counting steps and they're not counting calories and they're not counting squats and doing the HIIT workouts, the high intensity interval training, and not
Yes.
worried about all that stuff. It's just the lifestyle.
It's just the lifestyle and it's really the environment, which I think, I mean, I didn't even realize before coming to Blue Zones what a key part that plays in our health. We also know from Blue Zones research and other research as well. Dan Buettner always talks about the founder of Blue Zones. It was a Danish twin study that was done on a set of over 2,500 twins. And they put them in different environments, and they were able to come to the conclusion that only about 20% of our health and well-being is due to our genetics, and that other 80% is our environment. How is our environment set up? And so that really just also speaks to the Blue Zones research that it's about where you live, that life radius. We know individuals spend about 90% of their lives in the 10-mile circumference around their home.
Wow.
And so, how can we, this is what Blue Zones Project does, how can we set up our life radius to nudge us into healthier lifestyle habits?
Wow. That is so significant. That
Oh, yeah.
because most people, if it's like, okay, well, genetics play a huge role in in your health and well-being, but to find out that they don't even play as much of a role as your surroundings, that's amazing.
Yes, it is very interesting research. And also, I want to know, I know in that research as well that your access to healthcare,
Mm.
doctors, insurance, things like that also plays a little bit of a role in your health and longevity as well. Just want to mention that that's in there too. Um, but I think that's what's really interesting about the Blue Zones as well is these communities were not trying to be healthy. They were not following a fad diet. Their environment just simply set them up for that.
Wow. So
Hmm.
that's that movement is to move naturally. That's just one of
Yes.
the power nine. What else are we looking at?
Yes, that is just one of many. And so the next element in that petri dish of healthy habits is eating wisely. And there's a couple different pillars of eating wisely. Um, in the original Blue Zones, they eat with a heavy, heavy plant slant. While they do eat meat, it's usually reserved for special occasions, celebrations, weddings, things like that. They eat from their gardens. So they're eating what's in season. So you're getting those fruits and vegetables that are also at the peak ripeness that have the most nutrients in them because they're eating seasonally. In Okinawa, Japan, something cool that they do, it's called the 80% rule is the name for its Power Nine. And they eat until they are 80% full. They have a fun little mantra. They say Haru Hachibu, which reminds them to eat until they're 80% full because we know that it takes a minute for your brain to catch up with your belly. And so that's one way that they practice eating wisely in their community as well.
That doesn't follow the American ideal of more is always better.
Yes. Yes.
So, so it's not about the calorie intake. It's just learning to listen to your body and don't stuff yourself full.
Yes, and there's also we do cooking demos around town to kind of showcase how eating healthy is a lot more simple than people think, and some ways that people can kind of naturally incorporate some of these Blue Zones elements into their lifestyle. I've sure I speak for a lot of people when I say like we just have so much going on in these brains of ours every day. So I personally try to set up my environment here at my house, my own little blue zones, so that way I don't even have to think about it. Getting smaller plates.
Mhm.
When you're serving yourself dinner. So just naturally, I maybe am going to eat a little bit less than I would if I had a bigger plate, and it's not something I have to force myself to do or remember to do. I just set myself up for that. There you go. Another thing is like putting dinner away. If then eating my dinner. If I have everything kind of still out, it's just a lot easier to have leftovers to go in there and keep snacking as I clean up. So just some simple ways that people can incorporate some of those healthy habits without having yet to add another thing to the to-do list.
It's funny because in the house that we lived in before this one, I would either park in the garage or park in the driveway and then go in through the garage. And that the garage door went straight into like past the food cabinets and past the refrigerator. And I didn't realize until I stopped to think about it how much I was, coming home after work. I was coming home from somewhere. And because I was walking right past the refrigerator, because of walking right past the cabinets, I would grab something, just a
Mhm.
little something. And I thought, you know what, I need to stop doing this. And so I started, instead, I intentionally would walk through the front door. And it wasn't even any big, oh, I have to lower my calorie intake. It's just like, I just need to stop walking past the kitchen or through the kitchen right when I get home. I need 2 seconds of is there a meal coming up? Am I about to prepare a meal? Or am I actually hungry? Do I want to go to the kitchen to get a snack instead of just grabbing a snack as I'm walking through? Because that's the way I was going through the house.
Yep.
Such a simple thing, but it made a big difference.
Such a simple thing. And that's really what Blue Zones is all about as well, is just how taking that simple approach to health and setting up our environments that nudge us into healthier habits. Absolutely. And the last area that I also really like to talk about, because so often people think that when they think of health, they think of diet and exercise. And one really unique thing when it comes to eating that Dan Buettner always talks about in regards to the blue zones is one of the healthiest things you can do when eating is eating with friends. And we call it Friends at Five for our Power Nine. And just it's so important. Relationships and eating with loved ones is a really big deal.
It actually, in my certification as an eating psychology coach, this is one of the things that is talked about is the different ways that your body processes the same food. You can take the exact same food, and if you're eating it quickly in a hurry, it triggers a stress response, which triggers stress hormones, which causes your body to hold on to more of what you're eating than if you just take time and breathe. And that's where the one of the great things about just enjoying, if you're just sitting with people that you love, enjoying a meal, you're very likely to eat slower. You're going to eat in a relaxation response, which then triggers different hormones in your body. And it allows your body to get into the place where it's most likely to do most effective digestion. It's just amazing that something as simple as eating alone or eating fast changes how your body responds to the exact same food.
Isn't it fascinating? And I love that you brought that up as well, because again, that's just s- another tool in your toolbox of ways that you can so naturally, it doesn't cost anything, incorporate healthier eating into your diet. Eating just it's such a huge part of our life, and so often people just think it has to be something that's really expensive. You have to buy, very special food or something that's very time consuming. And so these are just simple ways that it doesn't really matter what you're eating, but that you can just incorporate some of those little tips and tricks to make it healthier.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Mhm.
doing that, having the friends at five, having that connection as you're eating. There in America, there's a book called The Culture Code. I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's fascinating. And it was originally the guy was not in marketing, but he learned things that really applied to marketing. And he talks about what is the cultural code for any given thing is what the first and the deepest imprint is as a society with that thing. And the culture code for food in America is fuel. We think about it as fuel. And I've been sick, and I had a good friend of mine who, when she found out I was sick, she's like, "Can I bring you some vegetable barley soup?" And I'm like, that actually sounds really good. I had no appetite. And as I sat there eating that soup, I thought anyone who thinks food is just fuel has never had their friend bring them food when they're sick.
Oh yeah.
And
Love
that's just
language.
one example. It's that food is so much more than just fuel, but it can be such an enriching part of life. And that's another thing I love about the Blue Zones is that food is not just here's a singular function. It just needs to give your body nutrients to be fueled on. It's so much more than that. It's so much richer than that. And the Blue Zones addresses that so well.
Oh, yes, it is so much more than that. And so I just think, um, you know, really leaning into that. One thing that I just notice all the time when I'm out and about that we are like really strict on, ever since I got involved with Blue Zones is like using your phone while you're eating.
Mm.
It just so mindlessly, you're mindlessly scrolling. It makes it so easy to just keep eating when maybe you're not even hungry anymore. Um, and so we try to use our dinner table. We have a no phone zone because it really forces us to connect over our meals. It forces us to mindfully eat. And yeah, because eating it's a lot more than just fuel for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So we've talked about moving naturally, about the 80% rule,
Yep.
about eating with a plant slant. It's not all about, being vegan or vegetarian. It's just making sure that we're eating lots of plants in our diet. We've talked about friends at five. Um, so let's talk about another one of when we were just talking before we started recording today, I was commenting to Alex that these are their power nine principles. And of these nine principles, six of them have nothing to do with food or movement,
Yes. Yep.
as far as actually what you're putting in your mouth. So let's talk a little bit about purpose. Purpose is one of the other power
Yep.
nine principles. Let's talk about that.
So one of the core four elements in our right outlook pillar is purpose and downshifting. So purpose, we know that individuals who have a strong sense of purpose, and actually all of the different blue zones have a different way of saying it. In Okinawa, Japan, they say ikigai. In Costa Rica, they say plan de vida, which translates to reason for living, what gets them
Mm.
out of bed in the morning. Individuals who have a strong sense of purpose, it can actually contribute up to 7 years longer of life, which is incredible. And it is important and something that really people don't think about when they think about their health and well-being, that having something that gets them out of bed in the morning, a reason for living, is absolutely crucial to your health and well-being.
And that purpose can be just as wide and vast as the number of people there are. It's not going to be the same for everybody.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We talk about purpose a lot at Blue Zones Project. We host purpose workshops to help people really hone in and identify what their purpose is, because so often people think it has to be like this huge, profound thing. And sometimes it is. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is something really simple. Individuals who are maybe struggling with, identifying their purpose or having a sense of purpose, we're like, get a dog. That is like the perfect an animal. Something it gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. You have to feed, your pet. Maybe you have to take them for a walk. It is like the ultimate quick fix for if you need purpose in your life. There's a shelter right around the corner. Like I can get you some purpose real quick. Yes, it's so, so important. And in the Blue Zones as well, something that we see in a lot of these different communities is like multi-generational homes, which is something that we have kind of gotten away from here in the United States. We are so like in our own spaces, so individualized. And in the Blue Zones, they really are like it takes a village. And they have grandma and grandpa living with them, aunts, uncles, cousins. Like these are just, there's a lot of family in the house. And again, you see a lot of purpose coming into that as well. You have older family members who are taking care of younger family members. And so purpose can be found in a lot of different ways.
So, yeah, so many, so
So
many.
right. Yes, Dan Buettner always says that the two most dangerous years of your life are the year you are born, because you are a fragile infant, and the year you retire, because a lot of times people put their purpose on their job. Like if you were to ask me on most days, what got you out of bed today? It's usually my 2-year-old daughter. And if it wasn't my 2-year-old daughter, it's work. I have to go to work. I have work to do. So when that element is not there anymore,
Mhm.
we see a lot of people who are newly retired at our purpose workshops, trying to rediscover what their purpose is.
That's very interesting. It speaks very much a couple of the other interviews that have been done. One of the women is a coach who specializes in empty nesters.
Mm.
That's the same, that same, maybe they didn't retire, but maybe their kids have all moved out. And that was there's so much of a locus and, focus of their purpose and their being that when those kids move out of the house, people can really struggle. Or another one of the coaches that has we've done an interview with talks specifically about the retirement and how it's, especially she's from Australia, but here in America, I know the idea of retirement is, oh, now I just get to basically do nothing, or I just get to, play golf every single day, or I get to, go to mahjong and bridge and, that kind of thing. Um, and it can be really to have where we're working and we have these very structured days to now all of a sudden have your day open. That can be a real shock
Oh,
to the
yeah.
system.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it sounds great in theory. And it probably is great for a few days, for a couple weeks, and then we really do see people kind of searching for what's next. And having meaning in life is so important. And I think we all even rediscovered that in the COVID-19 pandemic. That really kind of gave everyone an opportunity to just rethink everything,
Mm.
rethink what's important to them, their families, their lives. And so purpose has become this new thing that people are really, really searching for. And I love being able to do purpose workshops around town through Blue Zones Project. And one thing that I think that I always like to talk about when talking about purpose, this is my favorite Power Nine, by the way, is purpose. And we do a little exercise in our purpose workshops called calling cards, where we really look at people's gifts, talents, and passions. Um, and it is so special and unique to help people identify and really put a title to things that are their gifts. Like, I don't even think people truly understand like how special and unique every single one of us um is. And through our purpose workshops, we've really helped people identify some of those elements that make them special. And they don't even know it. They just think like, well, that's just who I am. Well, not everyone is like that. Not everyone can talk to people like that. Not everyone can, move people and deal with numbers like that. Like it truly is a gift. And so I really encourage people to lean in to discovering their purpose or join us at a purpose workshop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think enough can be said about that. Well, that's where we're going to press pause on part one of Blue Zones Project episode. So join us tomorrow where we'll finish discussing the rest of the Power Nine of the Blue Zones and how you can live a Blue Zones lifestyle, even if you don't live in a Blue Zones community. See you tomorrow.